How long would it take you to ditch a friend if they never showed up when you made plans, if they promised to help you but always bailed last minute, and if they said they'd be there for you but never followed through? How long would it take you to ditch that friend? 5 times of that happening, maybe 10 times of that happening. So if you ditch your friend after 10 times of that happening to you, why do you still hold on to the part of you that's been treating you that way for months and years? Better yet, or deeper yet, why do you consistently find yourself breaking your commitments and breaking your promises? My name's Pierre Yamfam. This is Get Out of Your Way, and let's figure this one out together. But first, a little bit of accountability. Did I wake up on time this morning? And what is day 3's success principle? Let's jump in. So yesterday, we spoke about a very powerful principle, right? Where we have two groups of people, successful people and unsuccessful people. They both don't like doing the same thing. The only difference is that successful people do it anyway. And that's what makes them successful. For today's principle, we're going to be discussing something that I thought about actually later on yesterday. So I said to myself, why is it that successful people are able to actually do the things that they don't want to do and unsuccessful people can't? Why do successful people do that? What is it about them? What is it that they have that allows them to act in that way? And this is what success principle number 2 is about today. Success principle number 2 is, and what I realized is, successful people have a very powerful reason for why they're doing what they're doing. And I think it was Simon Sinek. It was definitely Simon Sinek, because he's actually one of the people that I look up to a lot. So it was Simon Sinek who said, start with why, right, in his famous TED Talk. And people underestimate how powerful that principle is, to start with why and to have a powerful reason for why you're doing what you're doing. Successful people have a powerful why, and that's what makes it super easy for them to actually get up every day and do the things that needs to be done, because their why is bigger than the pain that they may be experiencing to get something done in the first place. Okay, I'll say that again. So successful people get things done anyway because their why, their driving factor, the reason why they do what they do is more powerful, bigger, more impactful on them than whatever feelings or emotions they may be having in the moment. And that's the reason why they're able to do what they said they're going to do. And that's the reason why they're able to push on. Whereas unsuccessful people, they don't have a powerful enough reason. And so things like staying in bed, things like eating junk food, things like not having integrity, not doing what you said you're going to do, this is the acting behavior of people that actually don't have a bigger purpose and don't have a bigger reason for living. Okay? And that's it. That's the reason why successful people can do what they do. And so for day number 2, and success principle, day number 3, success principle number 2 is always have a powerful why. If you do not have your why, go and find your why. If you do not have a powerful enough reason, go and find your reason. Okay, go and find out what it is that's pushing you, that's driving you. You should be able to find it in your childhood. Normally it's the thing that you got told off for a lot, or it's the thing that you got praised for a lot. That's normally where you'll find your why. Go and find your why, go and do the work. Go and figure out why it is that you're here, what is your purpose, what is driving you, and take that, package it, and use it every single time you're struggling, every single time you're in pain, every single time you're pushing yourself in the gym, holding plank, whilst recording a YouTube video, figure out what that why is and take it and use it. It will make doing things a lot easier. It will make commitment a lot easier. It will make discipline a lot easier. It will make the late nights a lot easier. It will make the early mornings a lot easier. Okay? And that's what I have. And that's what successful people have. So go and find your why. And I'm going to hold this plank for 1 more minute, which is 5 minutes. And I'll see you later on in the video. Have an incredible morning. And remember, start with why, find your why, and you'll be good. Peace. I'm just going to stay here for 30 more seconds. I freaking love that one. Start with why, Simon Sinek. I swear to God. He is someone I really, really look up to. And he's someone that I follow really, really closely. So I'm super glad I got to get that one in for day 3 success principle, starting with why. Find your why, find your purpose, find your passion, and get going. That is the way forward. So part 3, the breakdown. Earlier on, we asked a very important question at the start of this session. We said, if you had a friend that consistently let you down, never showed up when you made plans, said they're going to be there for you and never followed through, and really just bailed on all of their commitments to you, how long would it take you to ditch them? And, you guys will have different answers. Some of you will say, oh, if that happened to me once, game over. Do you know what I mean? If someone let me down in that way, it's a wrap, right? And other people would say, give them a chance, maybe 2-3 chances. But if they're always letting me down, then there's no friendship there. There's no connection. And really, the question is, if you seem to have a clear boundary, if you seem to have a clear limitation as to how many times you would let someone treat you in that way, then today's complex question is, why do you allow a part of yourself to treat yourself in that same way? Why do you allow it? And for double, triple, 10 times, 50 times the amount of time. So you could have a part of yourself whereby you are treating yourself in this way, breaking promises to yourself, right? Breaking commitments. This can go on for years, right? In some cases, decades, where you're slowly chipping away at your self-integrity because you say you're going to do something and you say you're going to do things and they don't get done. If you had a friend external to yourself, you wouldn't let them do that to you for decades. You would have left ages ago. So why do you allow yourself? Why do you treat yourself in that way? And this is today's topic. This is today's complex question. We're going to break this down. So I've read Atomic Habits, right, by James Clear. And he's phenomenal, by the way. Subscribe to his email list. Check out his book, Atomic Habits, best-selling author, completely changed the game when it came to habits, popularizing so many concepts, right? And within his book, one of his key features is he speaks about this difference between outcome-based habits and identity-based habits, okay? So outcome-based habits and identity-based habits. The reason why you find yourself, I'm just going to give you the answer straight away, right? Because this is what this is what this vlog is all about, right? It's all about getting out of your own way, cutting straight to the root cause of the issue, fixing it, and moving forward with speed, right? That's what we're here to do. And it's obviously all about accountability and other things as well. But this is the nature of this podcast. We're not here to faff around with other parts of philosophies or little things that don't really get the job done. We like to cut straight to the core here. Okay, so identity-based habits and outcome-based habits. James Clear has this in his book. And what he describes is the way most people set their goals, the way most people set their commitments, the way most people set their map for the year, or for whatever it is they're doing, is they do it through outcome-based goals. So an outcome-based goal or an outcome-based habit is they will say, I want to lose 50 pounds by X date. Okay, so that's an outcome. I want to lose 50 pounds is an outcome. That's what will happen. Then they may go and begin, mapping out what exercises they're going to do. Okay. And that's how most people set out their goals. But this is outcome based and it's actually in the wrong direction. I'm going to explain what that means. So imagine 3 circles. Okay. In the outer circle, you've got the outcome. Okay. In the next circle in the next ring inside, you have what we call the process or the strategy. Okay. And then on the inside, you then have what we call the identity. Now, when you're changing a behavior or when you're trying to do something different, for example, a New Year's resolution of going to the gym, and losing all these, losing this 50 pounds. When you have this sort of goal, the point is that there are 3 levels of behavior change, right? And the 3 levels of behavior change is setting the outcome, so you know what direction you're heading in, then setting the process or the strategy to get to the outcome, and then there is the identity of who you are as an individual, which actually creates the behaviors, which actually then creates the outcome. But essentially, when people create their goals, they don't touch the inner circle. They deal with the outer circle, which is the outcome, lose 50 pounds. They deal with the process, which is, I'm going to do running, I'm going to go on the bike, I'm going to do CrossFit, cross trainer, all this stuff. That's the process. But they never touch the inner circle, which is identity. This is the problem. And this is the reason why most people don't reach their goals, fall off, start going to the gym in January and fall off in February, because they don't touch that inner circle, which is the identity part of behavior change. So in our last session, I gave a couple of examples, right, of what identity-based change and what identity-based habits look like. So, for example, I'll bring one back from last session. So, I don't smoke, right? I've never put a cigarette to my mouth. I've never smoked anything ever, right? And so I am a non-smoker. When it comes to that domain of life, that's my identity. I'm a non-smoker. I don't smoke. Okay. And so the behaviors, bearing in mind that's the inner circle. Okay. And so the behaviors that I take, the way I carry myself throughout life is I will do things that is synonymous with a non-smoker, which is not smoking, not going near it. If I'm in a crowd where people are smoking, I move away. I simply behave. Notice, I simply behave. It's not hard. I don't struggle to do it. It's not something that I sweat about or I'm anxious about. It just doesn't happen because that's my identity. And I've done that behavior of moving away from people who are smoking, being asked to smoke by friends in the past and saying no. I've done enough actions on a consistent basis that solidified that identity. So I've done enough behaviors which solidifies my identity as a non-smoker, right? And then guess what the outcome is, which is the outer circle. The outcome is, my lungs are pretty healthy. I haven't had a stroke from smoking or anything like that. And that's the outcome. The outcome is I don't smoke. And that's just the life I live, right? That's it. Now, when it comes to identity-based habits and creating them and identity-based goals, it's very, very important to start from the inside and work your way out. Getting out of your own way is all about starting from the inside. And that's why this philosophy works really well with this channel, right? All about getting out of your own way, starting from the inside and working outwards. And so when it comes to identity-based habits, you start with the inside. So let's begin with this. Let's continue with the gym example, okay? So with the gym example, we're losing 50 pounds. That's the outcome. But we're going to reverse it and start with the identity. Let's create an identity. Let's create an identity of, for example, I am a mover, right? I am someone who moves. This is an identity shift from someone who's maybe overweight, struggling to lose weight, not very active, not active at all, right? Their identity is someone who's sluggish, inert, doesn't move, inactive. This is the identity of someone in that state, in that physical state, right? And so to have lasting and consistent change, we begin by changing the identity, which is that person will now say to themselves when they set this goal, I am somebody who moves every day. I move every day. That's the identity shift. That is so powerful. And you'll see how it will filter through the rings in a second. But that is the most powerful thing you can do when you're setting your goals, is to change who you believe you are. And I'll show you how to do that in a second, right? So you change you change who you believe you are, and then that's the identity part done. Once you create that identity of I'm someone who moves every day, I am a mover. Once you create that identity, you then move to the next layer, which is the process or the strategy, right? And now you say to yourself, don't go crazy and be like, I'm gonna go gym 3 times a day, every day. It's not gonna happen, right? We haven't built up the momentum to commit to something that grand, especially if you're really overweight, you haven't moved in ages. That's not the way to do it. What you wanna do is you wanna start really, really small. I think it's James Peterson who speaks about, Jordan Peterson, sorry, who speaks about doing something so small that it's like laughable, right? But at least you got it done. I think it's Jordan Peterson, he speaks about that. So the idea is that you start with something so small and manageable, and you slowly begin to build evidence and proof of the identity that you set yourself in the inner circle, right? So what that means is I say to myself, okay, I'm super overweight. But I've set my identity for this year, right? Which is I am a mover. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk around my block. It takes 3 minutes, 2 minutes. I'm just going to go for a walk around my block every single day for 3 minutes. That's it. That's where I start. Then what you do is once you achieve that and that becomes easy, that becomes simple for you, you're not out of breath or anything, then you go to 2 blocks, right? Then 3 blocks, then 4 blocks. And what you're doing is you are building the identity. It's not about the blocks, by the way. And it's not about how many blocks you do, how many steps you do. It's not about, it's not about the outcome. It's not about, the goal of getting to 15 blocks or doing, 10 blocks in 5 minutes. It's not about that. Actually, what this process and what this exercise is about is putting on your trainers and moving every day. That's actually what this is about, because what you're doing is you're feeding the identity of someone who moves, and you're building that identity and you're solidifying that identity. That's what this is about. Okay. And once you've done that, then you can move, and you don't actually consciously, it's almost like you don't consciously do this, right? But what happens is you move to the outer layer seamlessly, which is the outcomes, and the outcomes start to sort of more come to you rather than you going to them. And what I mean by that is stories upon stories of where it's like you almost didn't realize it, but now you're jogging for 5 blocks. Now you're not out of breath. Now you can do 10 blocks out. Do you see? So what's happening is through the movements and through the slow progression of of the distance you're walking and the amount you're walking, you move into the third outer layer, which is the outcomes, which is you begin to lose 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds. You begin to be able to jog and run and actually go for runs. And what happens is, because you're building the identity of someone who moves every day, the outcomes just begin to start coming. Okay. And that is where it becomes seamless. That's where it becomes effortless. Okay. So that's how you build the identity. You can set your identity in a couple of different ways. So you can make it a sentence, right? For example, I am somebody who moves every day. That's one way you can set the identity. You can also set it by, coming up with a name. So you'll see on my Identity 2025 document that at the bottom it says, I am a calengineer. What the heck is a calengineer? Well, a calengineer is a mixture between the word calendar and engineer. Calengineer, right? And the idea is that
I have a calendar which I've engineered, and what it does is it engineers my daily success just by following it. Right. So if I follow my calendar every single day, all of my time blocks, all of my things that I do every single day, I will reach the levels of success that I'm looking to attain. Right. And so I came up with this name of I am a calendareer, someone who follows my calendar every day, and that calendar engineers my success. I am a calendareer. So you can get creative with it and create your own identity word, or you can just say, I am a mover. I am someone who moves every day. I'm someone who follows my calendar every day. The point is, you are focusing on the person you want to become and the person who acts in a certain way. You're focusing on that, not the outcome. Okay. So this is the direction of change: identity, process, outcome. Okay. So get my notes back up. So what you do then is also it's worth mentioning that when you begin the process of doing, when you begin the process of actually becoming that person who has lost 50 pounds, who is in good shape, who is healthy, whatever that may, in whatever way that may be, right? So it may be running, it may be jogging, it may be um, doing bike, CrossFit, whatever exercise or whatever task or whatever habit you're doing for this year in 2025 and forever, there's going to be different stages of competency. So it's worth noting that through those different stages of competency, do not get discouraged with the process or the progress, right? Do not get discouraged, because every single time you pick up a new skill, every single time you start something new, you go through these 4 stages, which I'll break down to you now, right? So the first stage is unconscious incompetence. Okay. And unconscious incompetence is where you don't know what you don't know. You're unconscious, you don't know, and you're incompetent. You don't know how to do what you don't know because you don't know it, right? So that's stage one. And at stage one, this is actually probably before you set your identity. You're not going for runs. You're not doing anything. You don't even know that you should be going for runs or whatever, right? You're just there, and it's a bit peak, right? It's not looking good. That's unconscious incompetence. The next stage is conscious incompetence. Okay. So conscious incompetence is where you now know what you should be doing, but you're not good at it. Right. So you now know what you should be doing, but it's really tough for you to walk or round the block or jog around the block. Right. And that's where a lot of people drop off, because because you're now consciously incompetent. It's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I know what to do, but I don't know how to do it well. I don't look good. I'm embarrassed. And when I go for a jog and I'm really overweight and people are looking at me and all that stuff, this is where a lot of people drop off. This is the stage where you want to double down and keep going. Okay. I promise you, most people drop off at this stage. And if you can keep going through this stage, you will thank yourself for it later. Okay. So now you're consciously incompetent. You're consciously bad at what you're doing. The third stage is conscious competence. Now, conscious competence is when you begin maybe, doing 10 blocks or 15 blocks, or you begin, jogging rather than walking, and you become good at moving every day. But moving every day is still maybe a little bit of a challenge, in terms of you really have to put effort in. You're still putting a lot of effort into putting your trainers on and like, oh, I need to go for this thing every day, and it's still a bit of a struggle, and it's something where you you're doing it, you're good at it, but it takes conscious effort to really get going and to really do your thing. So now you're at the third level out of 4, which is good, but it takes effort. It's conscious competence. You know how to do it, but you have to put in the effort, right? And then the last stage is unconscious competence. Now, unconscious competence is where the identity and the process and the outcomes really begin to set in. This is where things become really solidified, because unconscious competence is where you do things automatically. You do it because that's just who you are. It's a breeze. You embrace it. It's something you even look forward to. It's something you can smash out the park, and you're very, very competent and almost not an expert, but like, yeah, almost like an expert. And I could have used the example of driving, right? When you're driving, you begin like, grabbing both wheels, like looking left and right, checking your shoulders, like doing the whole shebang of all the mirrors and all that stuff, right? That's normally how you start driving. You're really, really tense, right? And then a year down the line, 2 years down the line, you know, you got one hand on the wheel, you're drinking a coffee, you're looking out the window, you're fixing the kids in the back because they're fighting, and you're still driving, and you're completely competent. But you're doing it automatically on autopilot, right? So those are the 4 stages of change. So once you build your identity, and then once you've set up your processes and strategies of how you're going to do what you're going to do, you're then going to start becoming that person. And it's in the becoming of that person that you will go through these 4 stages. Do not drop off at stage 2. That's a negative way of saying it. Let me say it in a positive way. Stick at stage 2. Make sure you keep going at stage 2, because that's where a lot of people drop off, where it's like, I'm unconsciously competent. This is where I'm consciously incompetent. That's where a lot of people drop off, because they know what to do, but they're incompetent, not very good at it. They're a bit embarrassed when they're doing their thing, right? So these are the sections of the behavior change. This is what I want to talk to you about today. And so that's actually the reason why people break commitments to themselves. That's the reason why people break promises to themselves. It's actually because they haven't worked out their identity. They've set their goals, they've set their processes, but they're still the same old person because they haven't looked at who they want to be. They haven't looked at the characteristics and the personality traits and who you need to become to actually achieve those goals. They haven't looked at that. They've just looked at the outcome. I just want to lose 50 pounds by summer. But who do you need to become to lose those, to stick and commit and lose those 50 pounds? You need to work on your identity. Okay. So hopefully that figures this one out. And let's jump into part 4, which is the success blueprint. And of course, we're looking at the IDENTITY2025 document. See you on the other side. Absolutely incredible. Part 4, the blueprint. So, obviously yesterday, guys, we went through, I introduced this document for the first time, right? The first success blueprint of this channel is the Identity 2025 document, which is actually very fitting for the topic that we spoke about today, which was, all about building your identity. So essentially, in today's session, we're going to work out the page structure, and also remember that we're going to be going through this document throughout the week, and then you're going to be able to download it for free at the end of the week, so you can use it and implement it in your own life throughout the year, right? So for today's session, we're actually going to be breaking down the page structure. You're going to understand how the page works, and then we're going to look at the frequency, how often you should be using this document and reviewing this document throughout the year, and then we're going to look at a little bit of psychology behind the document and what it could mean for you this year in 2025. Okay, so let's jump in with the page structure. Let's jump into the screen share. So essentially, here we have the first page, right? The first category, which is health and fitness. So this is how the page structure is set up. And let me zoom in even more so you can see it in full screen. So the page structure is split up into a few different sections. Okay, on the top left hand section, we've got what went well. Okay, and what went well is actually in 2024. So in 2024, what went well? Then you list the things here. Okay, then you type or you list what did not go well in 2024. You list that here, and then over here you say what I am going to do about it, and that's the third part of this page, right? What am I going to do about it? And here you speak about and you list the goals that you want to achieve in 2025. Okay, so this is the basic structure of the page. Now we've got a few more things going on this page. So at the top, notice that I've got I am a calengineer, right? Which is what we spoke about earlier on in part 3 of the breakdown. In part 3, we spoke about the identity that I have, which is this for this year. I am a calengineer. I follow my calendar. I've engineered my calendar to re-engineer success back to me. And I am a calendareer. That is who I am. That is my identity for this year. Following my calendar, being structured, doing what I'm saying I'm going to do at the time that I'm going to do it. Being on time is a big issue for me. So that's a really massive commitment and really massive focus, which is being on time with my calendar and then actually executing on what I said I'm going to do that day. So being a calendareer is really personal to me. And obviously you will have your own identity statement, your own identity word, or you may just have a statement. For example, I am a mover, or I am someone who follows my calendar. If you don't want to have like an identity word that goes there, right? So at the top here, we have I am a calendareer. Now notice how on every single page, I have I am a calendareer, right? On every single page, we have that. So, and that is an example of the repetition that's required in order to build your identity, to consistently tell yourself and solidify the belief that you are the person that you say you are, right? Consistent evidence, consistent proof, consistent reminders. Okay. So at the top here, you have your identity statement. And obviously this document will be editable, really super easy to edit the document. So you'll be able to like edit it and play around with the words and stuff. On the right hand side, we just have the chapters. So every chapter that comes through, we can literally, it just goes down, right? So you can see what chapter you're on. And then we have an icon in the background. Again, just to remind you guys, this is like a health sign in the background. Here we've got a light bulb of intellectual life, like having great ideas and stuff like that. And then all of the logos are the same that's on this page here. So that's how the page structure is. Okay. Now let's talk about the frequency. Okay. How often, and in fact, and that's what we'll do. Yeah. In the next session tomorrow, we're actually we'll go through these goals and I'll show you how I've set these goals. Okay. So you can do something similar if that's what works for you. But let's talk about the frequency. Okay. How often we're supposed to be reviewing this document. Okay. So they say that if you're able to repetition, okay, repetition is a form of building neural pathways, right, in your mind, neural pathways in your brain. It's a way of creating muscle memory. Repetition is a way of essentially imprinting whatever it is that you're doing into your brain and then into your conscious, subconscious, and superconscious mind. Okay. So repetition is key in that process. And that's why you hear, you may have heard about mantras. You may have heard about, meditations where people are saying the same thing over and over again. It's all about ingraining into your mind whatever it is that you're ingraining. And same thing happens with marketing. They say it takes 7 to 10 touch points for a product to actually seep into the mind of the consumer and for the consumer to take action. It's the repetition of seeing the product in the marketing that eventually makes someone act, right? So repetition is key in a lot of facets of the human life. Repetition is key. And so it then begs the question, how often should we be reviewing this doc, right? How often should we be reviewing these goals? Each to their own. I'm on a very specific path to success. I'm on a very specific path to impact in the world, and how the level to which I want to change the world, the level to which I want to help people, this determines, that's my identity, that's my why, right? My why is to empower other people with the ability to challenge the way that their worlds are so that they can create better worlds for themselves and their families, right? So my job here and my existence is to empower other people to create better worlds for themselves. Okay. And so to achieve that goal on a mass scale, that requires me to take certain actions in my life now that will increase my chances of reaching that goal and reaching that vision and aligning with my why. So for someone like me, who's almost at obsessive level with this vision, with this purpose, with this drive, I actually look at my document 3 times a day. Okay. So 3 times a day is in the morning when I'm having my breakfast, actually before my breakfast, in the midday at 3 p.m., and then in the evening at 6:30 p.m. Every single day, I read through this entire document every single day, 3 times a day. All these pages. Okay, I read through every single one, and I make sure that when I'm reading consciously, right? Not scanning or reading and then forgetting what I just read. None of that bullcrap, right? I'm literally reading it and I'm consciously absorbing it. I may put on some nice music, and it takes me about 3 minutes, but I'm reading through my goals 3 times a day: morning, midday, and nighttime. Okay, so that's the frequency for someone like me for what I'm trying to achieve. You do not have to start there. You can end up there if need be, if that's what your own vision and your own why, if that's what it requires, you can end up there. But you don't have to start there. Don't remember what I said about building habits and building your identity. If this is all new to you, then take it easy. Even reading it once a week, even reading it once a week is an incredible start, because in 2024, how often did you set out your goals and then read it? Maybe you didn't even have any goals, right? And if you did have goals, maybe you created it at the beginning of the year and didn't look at it again until the end of the year. So reading it 52 times in a year, 52 weeks, so once a week, that's an incredible, that will create an incredible shift in your daily, weekly, and monthly behavior. Okay. So start small, maybe once a week. If need be, you can then up that, right? To maybe 3 times a week, then once a day, then maybe twice a day, if need be. It all depends on your vision and how obsessed you are. And people use the word obsessed with like such negative connotations all the time. I don't see the word obsessed like that. So when I use the word obsessed, what I mean is deeply passionate about what it is that you're doing, right? Positively consumes you, not negatively consumes you. And so depending on what level that is for you, depending on how consumed you are by your vision, that will determine how many times you want to review these goals and make sure that you hit these goals. So that's the frequency piece. Now, the last piece is actually a little bit of psychology behind this document, and in terms of what each section, what each category means to you. So over here, we have different categories, right? 12 different categories. Now, some people watching this video right now, you guys are like, 17 years old or 16 years old even. And you most likely won't have kids at that age, right? You most likely don't have kids. And so therefore the parenting category won't mean that much to you. However, there are ways of interpreting the category. So for example, although you're, let's say 17 years old and you don't have kids, you may have an older brother who's 30 years old and he has kids. So therefore you would have nieces and nephews, right? You're an uncle to them. And so maybe the parenting category can be whereby you're being an uncle to someone else, right? Rather than that's your own child. So each category comes with balance depending on where you are in your life. On the other end, you could be 60 years old watching this video, 65 years old. And at 65 years old, you could have kids and grandkids. And that also applies here in parenting. Okay. So don't put too much pressure on the 12 categories. If you do not resonate with the category, then I'll show you what you can add in tomorrow's session. I'll show you the things that you can add in the category. Just one little sentence, one little one little mantra, one little sentence that will at least keep you conscious of that category, even if it's not something you want to focus on right now. So for example, in my one, I think I've got love, my love life, and parenting. Obviously I'm doing the course, right? So I'm doing the life book course. So when I do the love chapter of the life book course, then I'm just going to implement the strategies that it says for me to implement, because I'm following the course. And it may say something like, in the course, it can be like, if you don't have any romantic relationships, then think about loving yourself. What can you do to love yourself more? And that's where I am in my life right now. When it comes to relationships, it's like, that's not what sort of invigorates me right now. What invigorates me is my what I'm trying to achieve and the people I'm trying to help. That's where I am right now in my life, right? And so as you can see on my love chapter, it's quite empty. And I've got implement life books, love life strategy. That's it. Okay. Same thing with parenting. I don't have any kids, but I do have nieces. And in 2024, I recognized that I haven't seen or spent enough time with my nieces. And this is very, you have to be very honest with yourself. You can't just chat smack and like sort of hide. And, it's all about getting out of your own way, right? So be honest, be direct. In 2024, I did not spend enough time with my nieces, full stop. And that's what gets written down. And then in this year, 2025, I'm going to be implementing Lifebook's parenting life strategy, which is spending more time checking in with your loved ones and all that stuff. And that's what I need to be doing more. So I've got that here. But again, as you can see, it's quite empty. If you go down to one of my other categories, even for example, health, for example, you can see it's a lot fuller, it's a lot more full, right? And so this is an example of a category that I need to, that I've got a lot of content going on for. Obviously, health and fitness is number one, right? Beyond anything, because without your health, you're screwed. You know what I mean? So balance. When it comes to the categories, definitely there's a balance between all of them. Don't feel pressured to overload any of the categories. Simply resonate with what you resonate with, and then enter your goals. Okay, and that wraps up. Section 4, which is the blueprint section. Whew. And breathe. Bloody heck! I tell you what, this is day 3. Yeah, this is day 3 of these videos, and I am so buzzed at the reactions I've been getting, at the feedback I've been getting. I've been so buzzed, and it's been such a journey of learning. Remember earlier we spoke about those 4 stages of consciousness, those 4 stages of acquiring a skill, right? And it's like I'm definitely obviously at the conscious incompetence stage 2, where I told you guys not to give up, right? To keep going. But definitely conscious incompetence is where I'm at now. And it's been a journey, but this week has been super hard. I have to be honest. I started the YouTube channel 2 days ago, so today's day 3. But I actually begun, which is like on Wednesday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yeah, on Wednesday. Wednesday the 8th, I started the channel. But I actually begun waking up at 4:30 on Monday, which I'll show you guys in another video. But I started waking up on Monday at 4:30, and preparing the YouTube channel over Monday and Tuesday, launching the first video on Wednesday. And it's been very, very tough because it's a brand new skill. There's so much to think about. You think something will take half an hour, but it ends up taking like an hour and a half. So I've been going to bed super, super late this week. You'll see next week. I think next week I will show you the sleep tracker. And in the sleep tracker, or I may show you the peak performance tracker. I'm not too sure yet. But basically, eventually when you see my sleep tracker, you'll see the hours I've been going to bed, like 1:30, 12:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then waking up at 4:30. It has been treacherous. But and I'm glad I've been able to sometimes grab like an hour in the middle of the day to sort of recover. But essentially, it has been super, super hard to start this channel alongside the businesses that I run, to actually start the channel, record every day, post consistently, and it's day 3. And it's been super hard to sort of get the sleep right and to get the timings right. But it's only day 3, and things have gotten gradually better. Quite quickly, actually. It's got quite quick. I like to learn very quickly, and I like to absorb information and sort of like be a sponge. So I'm learning a lot quite quickly, and things are progressing. It's just that it's really taking its toll. So apologies if the energy was maybe a little bit lower today, or if it was great. That's awesome. But I am going to bed. I am knackered. I'm going to bed. I'm going to try my best and get these videos out earlier. The time now is 7 p.m. So now I need to edit. I need to review it. I need to edit it and then post it. And I can't wait to start outsourcing some of that stuff. Right. So hit me up if you know anyone who's a good editor and stuff like that. But no, thank you so much for sticking with me. Day 3 is done. 362 days to go. And I'm really, really pumped. The reactions have been incredible. The feedback has been amazing. Thank you so much for holding me accountable. My name's Pia Yampam. This is Get Out of Your Way. And I think we figured it out. Catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.